Welcome to another deep dive. Ever get that feeling like reality is kind of a slippery thing? Like maybe what we see isn't the whole picture.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, today we're diving into a really interesting book that I think you'll like by Barnhill, all about how we perceive the world.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know this one.
It's pretty mind-bending stuff, including the idea that we might all be living in a simulation.
Whoa.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
So get ready for some deep thinking today. One of the things that really struck me in Barnhill's book is the idea of shifting from beliefs to ideas.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm curious, what's the difference and why does it even matter?
Well, think about it. Beliefs tend to be like these fixed things, right? They can really get us stuck in those I'm right, you're wrong kind of debates.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But ideas, they're more fluid, more open to change. They make you curious and, invite different perspectives.
So it's like instead of digging in our heels and clinging to beliefs, we should approach those strongly held notions as ideas that can evolve. I really like that. It just seems like it would make conversations so much more productive and understanding, especially in those heated debates we all find ourselves in sometimes.
Right. And actually, there's some really interesting research in cognitive psychology about this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it shows that embracing this kind of flexibility can actually help us navigate those complex situations and make better decisions.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like the more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know.
Exactly.
It's that constant process of learning and evolving, right?
Yeah. And Barnhill gives these really cool examples from history.
Oh, like what?
He talks about how even things like the moon landing or the Battle of the Alamo, events that seem like set in stone, can actually be perceived really differently depending on what people believe.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, like, what is real anyway?
Right.
If two people can look at the same thing and come away with totally different interpretations.
Exactly. And that's a big part of what we're talking about here. It's not that one side is right and the other is wrong.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we all see reality through our own lenses, shaped by our experiences, values, and, even our beliefs.
It's like we're all wearing these invisible glasses that filter how we see the world.
Yes. And there's a term for this in psychology, confirmation bias.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so confirmation bias means we're naturally drawn to information that already fits with what we believe.
Even if there's evidence against it.
Right. Even if it contradicts what we believe, studies have shown that people are way more likely to remember stuff that supports their views, and they conveniently forget information that challenges them.
Wow, so we could be missing out on a lot of truth just because we're so focused on proving ourselves right.
Yeah, and Barnhill takes this concept even further with a really interesting example.
Okay, I'm listening.
He talks about how Einstein's theory of relativity, like one of the most important scientific theories ever, has been used to actually support both round and flat Earth theories.
Wait, what? How is that even possible? Einstein's theory proves that the Earth is round.
It does, but get this. Those who believe the Earth is flat use parts of the theory, specifically the stuff about gravity and the curvature of space-time, to fit with their worldview.
That's pretty wild. So you're saying even solid scientific evidence can be twisted to fit our preconceptions.
Yeah, it just goes to show how powerful our paradigms are.
Paradigms.
Yeah. Those basic assumptions we have about reality, those can really warp even the most solid scientific evidence.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. So even if there is an objective truth out there, our ability to see it is limited by, well, ourselves.
Yeah.
That's a pretty deep thought. It makes you wonder if we can ever truly understand reality at all.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where things start to get even more interesting.
Oh.
Barnhill explores a few different avenues, one of which is this idea that reality could be like a collective dream.
Hold on, a collective dream. That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? But it's actually a pretty cool idea. Think about how our beliefs shape our world. Things like money, social norms, even time.
Okay, yeah.
They only exist because we've all agreed that they matter.
So you're saying we basically dream them into being.
Exactly. And Barnhill suggests that this might be true for reality itself.
Whoa.
If enough people believe something, it gains a kind of collective reality and shapes the world we all experience.
It's like we're all contributing to this huge interconnected dream, and the things we focus on collectively become our shared reality.
You got it. And this idea actually has roots in philosophy and spiritual traditions.
What?
Yeah, like idealism, which suggests that reality is basically mental, like a product of consciousness rather than something outside of us.
So if reality is a dream, who are the dreamers? And where does consciousness come from?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
And that's where things get even wilder. Barnhill touches on an idea that might give us a clue. The concept of a creator.
Oh, now we're getting into some seriously deep waters.
Yes.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more about this creator idea.
Well, Barnhill doesn't present it as, like, a religious thing.
Okay.
He frames it more as a thought experiment.
Yeah, okay.
Like, what if reality is some kind of simulation and there's some kind of intelligence behind it, like a cosmic programmer or architect?
Like the architect in the Matrix.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And in this scenario, we each become characters in this massive simulation, experiencing a unique set of challenges and opportunities, all designed to help us learn and grow.
So we're all living out our own personal video games designed by some cosmic programmer to help us level up.
It's wild, right?
Totally wild.
But it's a really interesting way to look at things.
Okay.
It could even explain things like deja vu, synchronicity, or even paranormal events, like maybe there are glitches in the simulation, hints that there's more to reality than we realize.
You know, I've definitely had those moments where I felt like I was predicting the future or experiencing something that just defied logic.
Yep.
It does make you wonder if there's more to reality than we can see with our limited senses.
Right. And while we might never know for sure if we're in a simulation or not,
Yeah.
just thinking about this possibility can be incredibly liberating.
How so?
Well, it challenges everything we think we know about reality,
Okay.
expands our awareness, and invites us to see the world with a new sense of wonder and curiosity.
It's like we're stepping outside the box and considering perspectives that might seem kind of out there, but could actually lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe.
Yeah, and that brings us back to Barnhill's core message. The power of perspective is everything. Whether we're reframing our thoughts, being mindful of who we spend time with, or even thinking about a simulated reality, it all comes down to how we choose to see things.
It's like we're given this opportunity to become conscious creators of our own reality, both individually and collectively.
Exactly, and that's a really empowering thought.
It really is. But before we get too carried away with all these mind-blowing possibilities, let's bring it back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
What are some practical things we can do to actually use these insights in our everyday lives?
That's a great question, and Barnhill gives some really helpful advice about that too.
All right, listeners, it sounds like we're about to get some actionable wisdom. Let's dive into those practical tips in the next part of our deep dive. All right, so we've talked about some pretty wild concepts.
Yeah.
Confirmation bias, the idea that reality could be like a collective dream, even a simulation.
Yeah, lots to think about.
It's a lot to process. But I want to shift gears a bit.
Okay.
Talk about what we can actually do with this information. Like, how can we use this understanding of perception to create a more positive, maybe a more fulfilling life?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And that's really where Barnhill's insights get interesting, I think.
Yeah.
He says that our thoughts and beliefs, they directly impact our experience of reality.
You know, I've heard that before, the whole thoughts create reality thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes it feels a bit,
Ooh.
yeah, a little woo-woo. Is there any science to back it up?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, it's a well-established type of therapy, and it's based on this idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, CBT therapists help people identify negative thought patterns, the ones that contribute to anxiety, depression, stuff like that.
So it's not just about thinking happy thoughts, like there's actual evidence that changing our thinking can change our lives.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And it goes beyond mental health.
Okay.
Studies have shown that optimists tend to live longer, healthier lives. They're more likely to reach their goals, bounce back from setbacks and maintain strong relationships. It's not just about feeling good. It's about real-world results.
I'm convinced. Okay, so how do we actually change those negative thoughts? It's easy to say, think positive, but sometimes it's like those negative thoughts are just on autopilot.
Yeah, for sure. It starts with being aware, really paying attention to that inner voice, the thoughts running through your head.
Yep.
Notice the negative judgments, the limiting beliefs that are holding you back.
So it's kind of like becoming an observer of your own mind.
Exactly. You're noticing those thoughts without getting swept away by them. And yeah, it's a lot like mindfulness practice.
Okay.
And once you start noticing them, then you can start to question them. Like, is this thought even true? Is it helping me? Is there another way to look at this?
Oh, I like that. So challenging those automatic thoughts instead of just accepting them as truth. It's like taking back control, right?
Exactly. And as you practice this, you'll find you have more choices about how you react to things.
Okay.
You can choose to focus on the positive, look for opportunities, believe in yourself.
Yeah, it's like reframing those negative thoughts.
Exactly. And here's something Barnhill emphasizes. It's not about pretending everything's perfect or denying reality. It's about choosing a perspective that empowers you, even when things are tough.
So not ignoring the negative, but shifting the focus, even if it's just to a tiny bit of hope or possibility.
Right. It's training your mind to see what's possible, not just the limitations. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes, like you're building a mental muscle.
I like that analogy, mental muscle for positivity.
Yeah.
So if we want to design a better reality, we need to work out that muscle, right?
Yeah.
Consciously choose more positive thoughts.
Exactly. And this doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process, a commitment to growth.
So it's about those small shifts, day by day, until it becomes a new way of being.
Yeah, and here's a big one. Surround yourself with people who support that positive mindset, because the people we hang out with have a huge impact on us.
It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Exactly. So be mindful about who you surround yourself with. Seek out people who lift you up, who inspire you, and challenge you to be your best self.
So create an ecosystem of positivity.
Yeah. And never forget, you're the architect of your own experience.
You get to choose your thoughts, shape your perceptions, and create a reality that matches what you want, what you believe in.
Okay, so we're talking about a lot of personal responsibility here.
Absolutely.
But if we can change our individual realities, what about the bigger picture? Like the world we all share. Can we shift that too?
That's a great question, and it takes us back to that idea of reality as a collective dream.
Oh, yeah.
If we can shape our own realities with our thoughts and beliefs, just imagine what we could do together.
It's mind-blowing. What if we could shift our collective consciousness towards more positivity, more compassion and understanding? Who knows what's possible then?
Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And this brings us back to one of the most fascinating parts of Barnhill's book, simulation theory.
All right, back to the simulation. I gotta admit, this is the part that really got me thinking.
Yeah.
It's so mind-bending, but there's something about it that feels, well, possible.
It is a captivating idea, isn't it? And while it's definitely still speculation, there are some interesting arguments out there. Like what makes people think we might actually be living in a simulation?
Well, look at how fast technology is advancing, especially in fields like virtual reality and AI.
Yeah.
It's not hard to imagine that simulations could become so realistic that we can't tell the difference.
It's true. Things are moving so fast, who knows what's possible?
Right. And some physicists and philosophers have pointed to quantum mechanics, the study of how tiny particles behave.
Okay.
And they say it suggests that reality might be more like information or code than anything else.
Like the universe is running on a giant computer program.
It's wild, I know. And some even say that weird things like déjà vu, synchronicity, those unexplained events, maybe they're glitches in the simulation, little signs that we're not in the real world, whatever that means.
I've had those moments where I felt like I was predicting the future or seeing things I couldn't explain.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, right?
Exactly. And even if we never know for sure about the simulation,
Yeah.
just thinking about it can be really freeing.
In what way?
It challenges our assumptions about what reality is, opens our minds to new possibilities.
It's like we're being invited to see the world with a sense of wonder and curiosity again.
Exactly. And it brings us back to Barnhill's point. Perspective changes everything. Whether we're talking about changing our thoughts, choosing our friends, or contemplating a simulated reality, it all boils down to how we choose to see things.
It's like we're being given a chance to become conscious creators of our reality, not just individually, but together.
Exactly. And that's a pretty empowering thought, isn't it?
It is. But before we get carried away with all the possibilities, let's bring it back down to earth for a moment.
Okay.
What are some practical things we can do to start applying these insights in our daily lives?
That's a great question, and Barnhill offers some really helpful advice.
All right, listeners, it sounds like we're about to get some really actionable wisdom. Let's dive into those practical tips in the final part of our deep dive. All right, so we've been through a lot in this deep dive.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about some pretty heady concepts, like the nature of reality and the power of our minds to shape our experience.
Definitely.
But now, let's talk about how we can actually use these ideas in our everyday lives.
Okay.
What are some things we can do to shift our perceptions and create a more, positive and fulfilling reality?
Well, Barnhill has some really good advice about that.
Yeah.
One of the simplest but most powerful things he suggests is starting a gratitude practice.
I've heard of gratitude journals and things like that, but how does simply expressing gratitude actually change things?
It's all about shifting your focus.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on what you lack, you start to appreciate what you have.
Hmm.
And when you focus on the good things, even the little things, your brain actually starts to rewire itself. It starts to notice more of the positive.
So it's like training your brain to look for the good instead of dwelling on the bad.
Exactly. And this shift in perspective can have a ripple effect. When you feel grateful, you're more likely to be kind to others, more compassionate. You attract more positive experiences into your life.
It's like putting out good vibes, and the universe sends them right back to you.
I like that. Another tip Barnhill gives is to set clear intentions.
Okay.
Like, what do you want to create in your life? What kind of person do you want to be?
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with that. They might have some vague ideas, but haven't really taken the time to figure out their goals and aspirations.
That's where the power of intention comes in. When you set a clear intention, it's like planting a seed in your mind.
Oh.
It gives your brain a direction to follow.
Like a blueprint.
Exactly. And as you focus on your intention, you'll start to notice opportunities and resources that you might have missed before.
You know, it's funny. I've actually experienced that myself. When you're really clear about what you want, things just seem to fall into place.
Right. And that brings us to another important point. Take action. Intention without action is just a wish.
Yeah.
So break down your goals into small steps and start doing something today, even if it's small.
It's all about taking those baby steps. Even if they seem insignificant, they move you closer to where you want to be.
Exactly. And as you see progress, your motivation grows, you believe in yourself more. It's like a positive feedback loop that builds momentum.
So it's not enough to just think positive thoughts.
Wow.
We have to take action that supports those thoughts.
Exactly. And finally, remember to be patient. Changing your perception and creating a new reality, it takes time and effort.
It's like anything worthwhile. It requires dedication.
Absolutely. But it's so worth it. When you start to see the world in a more positive and empowering way, it can really transform your whole life.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. We've covered so much.
Yeah, it has.
From the nature of reality to the power of our own minds.
And it all comes back to that fundamental question, really.
What do you choose to believe?
Yeah.
And how do those beliefs shape your experience?
Exactly. So, as we wrap up today, we want to leave you with this one thought. Remember, you are the architect of your own reality.
Choose your thoughts carefully. Cultivate a positive mindset, take action, and watch as the world around you transforms.
That's it. Stay curious, keep exploring, and never underestimate the power of your own perception.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.